Morning world, it's Monday the 10th of June 2019. Few things on the agenda this morning. It's about 9 a.m. in the morning UK time. Firstly, I will be continuing my Pluto videos. I'll be doing more tomorrow and the next day on Pluto Mercury, then Pluto Moon, which will be a big one. And then I'll finish off with Pluto Sun, even though I've done it before with Sun Pluto, but I'll do it with Pluto Sun this time. And then I've got a couple of announcements and a few freebies to give away. Pluto recordings of Pluto lectures, Pluto books, etc, etc. Then I'm going to leave Pluto alone for a bit and move on to Neptune. Secondly, as a few of you have already worked out because of emails, I am going to be giving readings in public in San Francisco in California over the period of the 20th to the 30th of June. This is a lastminute.com thing and it's something that's only just been arranged. So if you want a reading with me in San Francisco, drop me a line, steve@stevejudd.com. Now, today's astrology, because today is actually a really important day. There's two very big separate things going on. One is very short term and one is medium short term, but they all contribute to make the next couple of days like pretty challenging. Today, the sun is currently at the start of 19 degrees of Gemini. Pluto is at 19.5 degrees of Sagittarius. Neptune is at 18 degrees of Pisces. As I speak, the moon is at 20 degrees of Virgo, so there's actually a grand cross in the sky with the moon right now in the last couple of hours and in the next 4 or 5 hours. But over the whole of the next 24 to 36 hours, the sun in the sky is opposite Jupiter and square Neptune. And it would be very easy for situations both at the global and the personal level to get out of hand. The sun opposite Jupiter will over-amplify, over-exaggerate, over-stress things. And on the negative side, this can be the mountains made out of molehill, things blown out of all proportion, things getting out of larger than life or out of control. It can also bring a sense of humour. But when you put Neptune in the mix, with Neptune squaring both the Sun and Jupiter, it brings a weird twist into the equation because Neptune can seduce and enchant. And with Neptune squared Jupiter, there's a capacity for sort of warping and twisting beliefs and philosophies. And with Neptune squared the Sun, things are nebulous anyway. So today is a day where there's going to be a lot of words spoken, and a lot of, not mistruths or lies. There's going to be a lot of metaphor and analogy. And there's going to be a lot of, not evasiveness, but there's going to be a lot of descriptive terminology which can be interpreted in a number of different ways. So, unless you're actively involved in astrology in some shape or form, today is not a good day for believing everything you're being told or for taking everything as gospel, because there's likely to be an element of misunderstanding or things are going to be misconstrued. And this is an energy pattern that's around particularly strong right now, over the last 12 hours, over the next 12 hours, and then lingering for the next 36 to 48 hours. But in the background, Mars is brewing very fast now. Mars is rapidly approaching the North Node in the sky. It's also rapidly approaching opposition to both Saturn and Pluto. And this is something that's going to become stronger and stronger over the coming few days. And this has the potential to, on a personal level, to be provocational, irritable, volatile, frustrating, impatient, accident-prone, clumsy, impulsive and rash. It also has the capacity to be extraordinarily sharp, focused, concentrated, on point and effective and efficient. And anybody who's got this Mars opposite Saturn Pluto energy in their chart at the moment, and I have done the dates on this before in a previous video, well, the more you get out there and use your energy, the less it's going to use you. But this is a good time for getting anything done that requires clinical and forensic acute sharpness in operation. And the only thing I would say with this is don't be too hard or cruel either on yourself or on other, because it'd be very easy to do that under this influence. At a global level, Mars in the sky opposite Saturn and Pluto. This isn't going to happen again for a long time. The last time Mars was in Cancer was 18 months, 2 years ago, when Saturn was a long way away. The next time this is going to happen is 18 months to 2 years' time, when Saturn will be at the end of Capricorn, even into Aquarius, and it won't be conjunct Pluto. So this is the only time that Mars is going to be opposite the conjunction of Saturn and Pluto in Capricorn since the 1500s. And as someone kindly pointed out to me, the last time we had a Saturn-Pluto conjunction in Capricorn opposite the node, it was the time of Luther and the Reformation. So now Mars is opposing this, and this is a fiery, dynamic, warlike aspect. So I do expect over the coming week a number of different events. Most likely event, I suggest, is because of the previous connection with Lutheranism, is some type of further religious conflict or outrage. More likely to be connected with fundamentalist Christianity than anything else, but I'm not going to limit myself to that statement. It's also a time where there's likely to be much more extreme statements politically, economically, militarily. There's not a lot of compromise or wriggle room with this opposition. It is very much yes, no, black, white. And even if you take out the human element, Mars opposite Saturn, Mars opposite Pluto, the fiery and feistiness of Mars compiling with the structure of Saturn and the underworld aspect of Pluto. See, this talks to me of a lot of heated pressure coming up from the underworld. So this is like a volcano arriving, because Mars is in Cancer, the seashore. It might have to do with coastal regions. I noticed that Etna in Italy is erupting quite big at the moment. Can also create a kind of geophysical thing with Saturn's structures. So we're looking at earthquakes, volcanoes certainly, and some type of explosive sudden event, geophysically probably, over the next week. Now this Mars, Saturn, Pluto thing will have faded out by the 18th, 19th, 20th. It'll be fading out, and from then on the pressure will be off. But over the next 10 days, 8 or 9 days, yeah, it's going to be a bit messy out there. So forewarned is forearmed, and the sensible people will be feeling the energy, and they will either be taking action and being, in a way, not merciless, because merciless is cruel and callous, but ruthless, as in yes, no, black, white, no middle ground, no room for compromise. Just get in there and do it. If what needs to be done needs to be done, do it. Then it's done. And then you live with the consequences. Hard, harsh even, but occasionally, rarely, I hope, necessary. Or, if you're not going to be incisive and decisive, then take a back seat and deliberately choose not to let your buttons get pushed, and walk away from challenges, confrontation and aggression, and say to yourself, I'll sort this out next week. I think that where we are now in this next 5 to 10 days is possibly one of the most confrontational, if not probably not the most confrontational time, astrologically speaking, of 2019. Yet in there are seeds of hope. The capacity for making incisive decisions and actions. For making decisions that are clear and unequivocal. and for walking one's talk in a way that leaves nobody else in a state of uncertainty. So yeah, interesting times. And I'll be in San Francisco in 10 days from now. Catch you later, world. Bye.